Jeff has asked this question. He's asking maybe the way forward. Uh, he's been using a method. If he has a problem, if he's doing anything, if he wants to solve a problem, he he focuses on it while singing the new you, but he realizes that it has become almost like an attachment. Yeah, when pitted against the idea that you just have to focus on the is, rather than to focus on the problem. So he wants to know which approach is is the best to take, to focus on the problem or to just uh, sing the new, uh, with the assumption that you are you are centered in the ease and let things be, let things resolve themselves, or to focus on the problem specifically as his as, as he sometimes does.
Okay, I see what you're saying, and that is that it's like anything. You have to, whatever the situation is. Sometimes you let it be, but many times you have to do something. It just depends. When you bake a cake, once you've prepared all of it, and then you put it in the oven, now you have to wait. All right, so there you have to wait. You just let it be. You don't keep opening the oven. All right, so sometimes it's like that. It's whatever is next. Just like I say at the end of the Skypes, it's like, okay, let's see what's next. And so you just, as it comes to you, you just deal with it accordingly. And yes, you use the new you, and sometimes you let things be. But at the same time, if there's an action that needs to be done or something, etc., you do it. It's going to be different each time. And so I look at what I've been through, and sometimes you have to experiment. Sometimes you have to just, again, making sense of things the best you can. What makes sense? And so it's not some magical formula. It's just what makes sense. So we to plant plants in the as an example in our garden. Do we, instead of digging, do we get dynamite and just blow holes in the ground? Does that make sense? Or do we just take our time and take the shovel and make little holes and plant the plants? So maybe if we're going to do a tree, we'll take some dynamite and blow a hole, etc. But again, does that make sense? So again, looking at the situation where you are, and the Africans, today's the African show, Charles, all these people, their real awareness decided to come into Africa, to be there, to be what they are in the body types, and to figure it out, because this is the advantage they have to recognizing this. Now they have the all is. The new you becomes the real connection, like I've defined, to becoming more aware. But the individual, again, must recognize and how to utilize that, how to utilize that awareness. It's with your real awareness. It's not necessarily manipulating physical things, etc. That's where, again, we just talked about the voodoo and the black magic. They're manipulating situations. What we're doing is we're learning to, handle them to where they make sense and a benefit for everybody. And it's tough because, again, it's also agreement, especially when you're dealing with others. When you deal with yourself, you can decide whatever you want. But when you, have arrangements with others, even if it's a marriage or what have you, something like that, you have to deal with the decisions of others. So there is no set way. There is, yeah, the ultimate is, yeah, focus on the is because it's survival, and eventually you become like the is. That's just very real. But in the meantime, you have 5 bodies that you need to survive with, so that's where you be creative at the same time. So that's where your real awareness comes in. And just why did you go to school to be educated so you could, align that identity with what you're doing to survive here with your physical body? You made sense of it, and now you're living it. So there's a difference between, yes, we focus on the all is, but at the same time, we have physical things we have to deal with, so we make sense of them the best we can. So I would say that, there's not one thing better than the other. It's going to be a matter of whatever comes up with that situation. So one thing is not going to work in the next situation. So, yeah, if you want rain from the sky, even though you have all the money in the world, it's not going to buy rain from the sky, is it? So that's not going to work. So you got to figure out something else. How do we get rain from the sky? Yeah, so everything applies accordingly.